it is 7 o'clock. Shall we start?
Yeah, I think we
Or
can.
should we wait for some more participants to join in because it takes a little time for people to log in and come on board. So
Yeah,
I think we'll wait for first 3-4 minutes. So let them all
fine, absolutely.
settle. Yeah.
So, Mr. Patanjali can tell one of his, you know, efficacy of his herbs, which is, been able to cure his patients. I can't hear you.
Yeah, you are not audible, Mr. Jha. I think you have put yourself on mute.
Yeah, that I muted.
Yeah.
Yes. In fact, my experience has been, anything grown in a natural forest, uh, which is basically no till, no poison. They acquire the gunadharma of medicine. And our civilization is so ancient, and there's so much of knowledge which is there. Being Charak Samhita, being some of these tribal who are supposed to be the traditional Vaidya, who understand these. So, in our experience, is about 150 odd people who are suffering from incurable diseases, so-called, of rheumatic arthritis, of asthma, of cancer. Some of them, they all were
So
cured.
can
So
you
that,
be a little louder? I
Yeah.
think people who are not using their earplugs will not be able to hear you.
all right.
Yeah.
So my experience has been that anything which is grown in natural forest condition, which is essentially no-till, what we practice, and dense forest, food forest, the produce acquire the our adage that food is medicine is so true. In our experience has been about 150 of them who we know have been cured of their illnesses such as rheumatic arthritis, some of them of cancer, of asthma, easily curable. So we need to go back. This is the correct way of growing. So this is all about healing yourself, healing Mother Nature, and bountiful, in a bountiful way. So it's a privilege to be here with Janil Chaturvedi.
Gayatri, I was thinking of even, are you wanting to start? You can start. Otherwise, I was thinking of,
Yeah.
mentioning about these, city forests and,
Yes,
using up the land which is there in public places, big lawns, we can
yes,
Right.
convert to
absolutely.
Yeah.
a forest, and it will help in all ways that we already know of. I was thinking of mentioning this.
Surely.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a Miyawaki food forest. Let's talk of why Miyawaki, and not of the kind of expenditure they are incurring currently. 50 lakh for a small patch of land. Rubbish. Start vetiver, start everything.
Yeah,
Do a dense forest. It will be at a 1/10 the cost.
and people have created.
Yes, of course.
In
You have
Allahabad,
done that in Allahabad.
Jazz, Mr. Patanjali's instructions. We have the Ganga TA. They have actually converted land was just lying into a very practical food forest.
Absolutely.
So in Assam,
Yes.
what Mr. Jha has to convince everybody that it is, commercially also viable. You know,
Hugely. Hugely. So I'm expecting Arvind also, but Sant Sinchwal gave me a very important tip. He said, to the poor, you tell that there is money in it. I said, yes, Satya hai. And to the rich, you say you'll die. I said, that is also Satya.
I think we
Because,
can start now. Otherwise, we'll be,
yeah,
sure,
falling behind the schedule.
please.
So, okay. So, very warm welcome to Major General D.A. Chaturvedi and Mr. Patanjali Jha. We are very pleased to host you on this show, and we have a lot of attendees who are, avid farmers or are aspiring farmers or people who are from, various backgrounds who want to learn about how we can restore the urban ecology. And that is what has brought us together. This is the first Cloud Chat session that we have under the banner of sustainable land use. And we are trying to focus more on restoring the urban ecology in this particular session. And our intention primarily is to focus on two things. That is afforestation, that is how do we create more and more plants and trees possible in a urban ecosystem. And second is, of course, how do we restore the water body ecosystem? And third, how do we ensure that livelihoods is an integral part of this rejuvenation, whether it is for afforestation or the water body rejuvenation? So without a further ado, I think we'll just start because we are really short of time. So I'll start the discussion with Mr. Chaturvedi. I'll just ask a question that you are very passionate about. That is, we had a target that was for the carbon sequestration for India as a country, which was as a follow-up of the United Nations targets. So how do you think that Territorial Army was able to match up to that target, and what was the share that was taken up by Territorial Army? I know that it was not mandated, it was voluntarily taken, but still it would be good if you could share that experience.
Thank you, Gayatri, firstly, for inviting me for the discussion. And my warm regards to Mr. Patanjali Jha. In fact, I owe, I think, more than half of what one has been able to achieve to him. And a warm good evening from 44 degrees Celsius temperatures to all the viewers. So I'll briefly explain. Firstly, I'll tell the viewers as to in the Territorial Army we have 10 eco task forces. Now, historically, in 1982, the first eco task force was raised to restore the Himalayan region around Mussoorie. All those who are of us who are aware of that area, it was totally mauled by the limestone quarry, and then this was suggested to the then Prime Minister by a German scientist, and so this eco task force was born. And this task force basically comprises the ex-servicemen, the retired soldiers. So this experiment proved to be very, very useful. It found that, Mussoorie was totally green again, and its weather system, the ecosystems all changed, and various states followed up. So now we have 10 such eco task forces across the country. When one took over as the head of the Territorial Army, I had that passion about ecology, and so I was aware that India has a target of 2.5 billion tons of carbon sink. So first I found out what is the carbon sink, and then what is sequestration of carbon, and then I happened to meet Mr. Patanjali Jha through one of our common friends. And so a relationship was born, and we realized that this one can do. So again, we put a plan in place. I'll just explain this. A tree, a 5-year-old tree, sequesters 10 kgs of carbon. Now this it takes carbon dioxide from the air, from the atmosphere, and it gets the carbon down into its roots and into the soil. Similarly, there is a variety of grass called the vetiver. This is khas, and it is endemic to a country, and it has got very long roots. Most of our viewers will know about khas. We used to use it for fragrances and also for cooling up places during summers before the ACs came in. So we did a lot of homework. We consulted 4 agricultural research bodies. They varied, the sequestration varied from 1.8 kgs per year per clump to 2.5 kgs per year per clump. So we worked on a figure of 2 kgs per year per clump. and decided that in 1 square meter of area, we will plant 4 such clumps or 4 such slips to begin with, which will turn into a clump by the end of the first year. And we will also have a tree planted in between to avoid monoculture. We also found out that India has 2 varieties, the North Indian variety and the South Indian variety.
Yeah.
We wanted to plant the non-invasive South Indian variety. And so this is how we have gone about it. We increased productivity by 2.5 times. We were actually mandated to plant 2,000 trees per 100 hectares for the year. We increased it to 4,000 trees and 1,000 of these vetiver slips. So it came to 5,000 trees. And we utilize also, the seed vault technique, which again, Mr. Jha helped us out in a great way. So with this plan of planting 5,000 trees oblique vetiver grass per year on a 100 hectare plot, we worked out. And then when we come to 2024, we would require additional manpower and land. So if this is followed up, if we get this land and this manpower, then in 2029 actually, we will be able to get achieve this target of 2.5 billion tons.
Right.
And this was just a pure initiative from our side. The government of India really doesn't know. So I think if they realize something is afoot, they may ask the right questions.
Great.
Thank you.
So that brings me to Mr. Jha, because you have been aggressively working on the food forest. So would you be able to, mention some of the examples which have been, truly success stories and something that can be replicable in an urban setup by citizens?
Yeah, thank you, Gayatri. It's a privilege to be here with General Chaturvedi. He's one soul who I think has the best karma in our country for having done so much and much more than what his job demanded.
Right.
So it's a privilege to know him since last 3 years to 4 years, and it has been extremely fruitful journey together, where what I'll say just 2 things of what General Chaturvedi just said. Carbon sequestration is such an important thing. Vetiver is such an important thing, both in the urban milieu as well as in the rural milieu, as well as next to the river. It's a very versatile grass, which has a lifespan of 100 years. As General Chaturvedi said, it belongs to India. Native of India, whole world has adopted it, except the country of its origin. So hopefully these things would change with the initiative which General Chaturvedi has taken. For soil, for trees, what is most obvious to the world is that we have to have more trees. As one German philosopher, Goethe, he said that the most difficult thing to see is what is in front of your eyes.
Right.
Which is so true. Everybody knows that growing more trees is the answer, solutions to most of our ills of rising temperature, of recharging underground water, reviving our river system. Also, few understand soil and agricultural civilization, which degrades its soil, will be transient. I'm not saying this. Roosevelt, President Roosevelt said, and it's the history of mankind. Whenever the greatest of civilizations have been lost, not due to the war, but due to the deforestation, due to salination, and due to uprooting of wrong agricultural practices. Agriculture has ultimately turned out to be the the biggest culprit for our environmental issues
Yeah.
currently, which we face. So normally people tend to avoid that, and it's not the fault of the farmers. It's the wrong practices that we have adopted. There is an alternative. So the principle of growing remains the same, whether in an urban milieu or in on a farm, or in a very small patch of land, or for that matter, even on your terrace garden. So what we practice is basically broadly followed by the principles of this Zen master, uh, Masanobu Fukuoka. Zen master is the one who thinks for the world. And also our scripture, Rig Ved has a mention of in Aranya Puran, where the practices were there to no till. So here we started practicing this. Without my parents, it was not possible. They lived on that place which was desolate in Madhya Pradesh. Together we are six partners, um, and my parents lived there in the initial years and started planting trees. So now, as I say, we made mistakes, but now we have a perfect system whereby in year one we can lay down the foundation of a forest, which reduces the temperature by a good 2 degrees in the year one, and goes on to reduce the temperature by significantly within a decade. So here is a opportunity where the UN says that if the temperature can be kept uh, by another 1.5 degrees, we have a uh, way to survive, which does not seem to be the most knowledgeable environmentalist. They warned you that by 2030 we would be crossing 1.5 degrees. What are we doing about it? What General Chaturvedi is doing is the finest institution that our country has. The army and the very able general who is not afraid to experiment. And through simple things like vetiver, I wish I would be able to show you some slides of his experiment in Marathwada, some of the driest region, where a 20 lakh vetiver planted over a period of 3 years has become more than 2 crores. And at one location, it is doing 175 tons of carbon sequestration. Good soil is which has topsoil and which has moisture and which has carbon. Soil is the second largest depositor of carbon. So
Okay.
see, so suddenly, and they multiply 10 times. So just imagine with a base of 10 crore, 100 crore vetiver, say 10 crore only, which doesn't really cost so much. And the Eco Task Force given the task of multiplying this, because they are the most reliable agency that our country has. So suddenly we are talking a number of 100 crore next year, 1,000 crore next year, and within 3 years, 10,000 crore, 1 lakh crore, and the carbon sequestration, as he says, per slip, which multiplies to 10 times, will happen 2 kgs. Just calculate. It's so simple. And not only that, it helps the other trees, the Chiang Rai Institute in where the children were trapped in that cave, the football team. There is an agricultural institute which did this research. They surrounded one imli plant with vetiver, and the other one of the same height, same everything, without the vetiver. And the experiment showed that the growth of the plant, imli plant surrounded by vetiver, was 5 times higher. It's phenomenal. So that proves a point that you surround this all over, reduce the temperature, put the water inside the soil. That it helps in that also. And seed ball. These are very simple things. So we cannot leave it only to the government or NGOs or anything. Every conscious person, farmer. When farmers start growing trees, things would change. So yes, lovely. I mean, this is the initiative which General Chaturvedi has done. Perhaps entitles him to the highest karma ever.
Yeah. Great. So that with that question, though I have some follow-up questions, but I'll just leave it towards the end. So we will talk to General Chaturvedi once again. I would like to understand from you. how has livelihood creation been an integral part of this activity? I remember some examples from walnut plantations that you wanted to talk about. So could you please elaborate more on that?
Thank you, Gayatri.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, I will only explain the economic livelihood project of ours, and
Sure.
then request Mr. Patanjali to give out his views, because he's a practitioner for some time now,
Of
and
course, it's converging in any case because the fundamentals are the same.
Yes.
So,
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. It was about 3 years ago
right.
uh, that the present Chief of Defence Staff, General Rawat, we met in one of a get
So could
together.
you be a little louder, please?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. So what I was saying is that about 3 years ago, the present Chief of Defence Staff, General Rawat, he was the Chief of the Indian Army then, and
Right.
we both met in a get together. In fact, on the TA day, and he took me aside and he said, "Look, can you plant about 5,000 odd walnut saplings
Mm-hmm.
in the area of Barahuti plains, beyond Joshimath Badrinath area?"
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Yes, we will do it." And just to give you a brief background about this Barahuti plains, now
Yeah.
this is a demilitarized zone between India and Tibet and now China,
Mm-hmm.
where the Chinese come in periodically. They
Right.
patrol, and we also go into that area, and we have villages, just around it, just below it, and most of these villagers actually come down, and they have already come down, and this is what we call as economic migration, or the postal money order economy, what it was called earlier. So he
Right.
wanted to set this right. He wanted to have some kind of livelihood right there, so that he could, the villagers would stay there, and our presence continue to be there in that manner. So we went about this. We got hold of 5,000 out sapling. We recceed the area, and within 6 months, we found out that the saplings can be planted only in the winter months, which was quite surprising. And October, November, and the snow comes in, and the sapling is under snow. And I was wondering as to how will they survive. That we found out that that is the way it is done in the valley also. So we did this, and then I confirmed to him, and then I said, "Look, just 5,000 is very paltry, and let's get more ambitious and go up to a lakh of these saplings." He said, "Fine, go ahead, and money is not a constraint." I said, "All right." So then I got back to him. I said, "Look, we've got these plants for 150 rupees per plant, and
Mm-hmm.
this is going to be go above crores plus. So what we will do is we'll buy the seeds from Srinagar, and grow our own nurseries, and no no then we'll transplant them when they're about 1.5 or 2 years old."
Mm-hmm.
So he gave me that look, and I understood that he's wondering whether I'll be able to do this before he retires. So I understood, and I said, "Fine." We worked on this plan, and I told everybody, "Look, we have to do it before he retires. He should not feel that we have taken him, for a ride." So we worked very hard. Men, our officers, all worked very extremely hard, because creating nurseries at that height, without any additional manpower, they had the mandated task to do. This was an add-on,
Yeah.
and the nurseries came out, and we had planted actually 150% of what we required. Uh, so in the month of October, November of last year, that is 19, because Rawat was to retire, on 31st December. So we were able to plant 50,000 of these saplings in the area of Garhwal, that is near Barahuti Plain, and 50,000 in the Kumaon region. And of course, the general himself was there, and he, planted a number of saplings and interacted with the villagers, and also commended the boys who had done a good job. So this was a very successful experiment, and he asked me to also meet the Chief Minister of Uttarakhand and to tell him that now this needs to be taken ahead, by handing over this project to the forest, and it becomes a people forest project. So when I told the Chief Minister that this is what has happened, he said, "Yeah, you've been able to plant." I said, "Yeah, they're already there." And he said, "How much did it cost you?" I said, "About 15 lakhs. He says, "Can you get some more?" I said, "Yes, we can grow you some more." And so again, see how different exposures help. When I told him, "Look, this is what our chief has said, that we now need to hand over to the forest," that he said, "No issues. We will just form a cooperative." I said, "Great idea." I said, "We'll form a cooperative." The chief secretary was sitting there with him, and he says, "We can go ahead with this cooperative." And suddenly it struck me that he's been able to, address the issue in such a simple manner. So this was my experience about economic livelihood. Now I'll give it to Mr. Patanjali, who's a subject matter expert on this.
Little bit. There's a fantastic experience when you want to do it backed by a great institution, backed by a great leader. This is what happens. I have the privilege, Gayatri. I also have, many friends and very committed environmentalists. Some who are here in this, conversation, who are present. So already about 5,000 acre of farm, which is our dream is two things.
Could you be a little louder, please?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So our dream is something this simple, that here is an idea, which is that of a permanent food forest, which I'll just take 5 minutes shortly to show some of the real pictures of our farms, which would they say that a picture is better than 1,000 words, and I'm not a very good speaker, so let our real pictures from our farm, as recent as 1 day or 2 days before, be shown to you, how it mitigates because our weather cycle.
Sorry to interrupt. Could you just enable screen sharing, please, so I can set up the slides?
Yeah, sure.
So our weather cycle is changing. In a monocropping, industrial commercial farming, or one crop being taken is no longer the order of the day. The sooner we shift to forest growing, when the farmers start growing forests, this would be phenomenal for our country. And later on, it is what is true for this country is true for the rest of the world. So,
Patanjali, can you just explain, this concept of vertical thing?
Yes, exactly. Wonderful.
Commercially,
very true. So, as I say, that there are 5 calamities which are waiting to happen to our countries, which have started happening and which will aggravate over a period of time. One small COVID has put us scurrying for cover, and there are many more which is likely to happen. One is the cancer. They say that 10% of Indians are likely to get cancer, which is a number of 13 crore. Anyone who gets a cancer, everybody from the family gets involved. Another 52 country, a country of 130 crore would struggle against cancer. What kind of a country are we going to live in? The second is rising temperature. Already all our major cities would become unlivable at the rate we are going. Gayatri, I'll come back to this, that how both the urban and rural this thing can combat this.
Yeah.
And 1.5 degrees is what UN says. I say that Indian leadership can reverse this. It is what we are talking of is not sustainable. It is regenerative. So the first is cancer, the second is temperature, the third is, this is an old data. The latest data by the Niti Aayog is 65% of Indians don't have, their water stressed. And all the underground water has gone to incredible level.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, small river systems are dead, or any river which passes through the cities have become nala, and rains have become erratic. Weather is changing. So the fourth is, UN says that our soil is one of the most degraded soil
Right.
now, with the practices that we are doing. And jobs every year there are 10 lakh Indians who become eligible to take employment. No manufacturing, no service sector can make them happen to provide employment. So what General Chaturvedi is saying, where people were deserting, leaving their villages for some paltry, wages, paltry salaries, all that can be reversed. I think the solutions to all these five major tragedies lies in raising food forest, which is a vertical farm, and some bit of it uh, we can. Wherein the vertical farm has something which is, which occupies different heights at different on the same land. So thereby, certainly, see, this is one example of our farm where you see some of these trees, and now we have started putting the vine, and the raw turmeric is inside. In between, we have plenty of lemon, plenty of pink pepper. As we say that we do this farming with the help of the
This
trees
is
and the
pretty
bees.
much looking like a forest,
It
actually.
is a forest.
Yeah.
It has a temperature on our farm in Madhya Pradesh. The temperature is lower by 14 degrees
14
today.
degrees.
Yes, and
Oh
that
my
is a
God.
farm where that is one of the hottest district in India, where temperature goes up to 50 degrees and stays. Birds die. We cry. And on our farm, all these birds come and get shelter, food. We have become so selfish and greedy. That is what killing. That is what is killing the world. So I'll.
I'll just take a second here to mention one more point. So there
Yeah,
is a point called urban heat island effect. So I think which we did not capture when we were trying to list the benefits of food forests. So I think urban heat island effect can also be mitigated if there is
absolutely,
a delta of 14 degrees Celsius. That's really great.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So thereby, this is our less than 1 year old forest. Forest, in the sense, the moment you cover the soil, the magic happens. The nature takes over, which is possible in year one with the help of the vetiver, with the help of everything you grow. You grow with gay abandon, whether in an urban space, whether in a rural space, next to a river, and everywhere. So from the year one, the temperature comes down by 2 degrees. I'll just try to show that there are some crops which are yearly crop like the tuar, like turmeric, like papaya, like castor, uh, bananas, and all the other plants also you start growing. The guavas and the lemons and the mangoes and the jamuns and everything, and surround everything with vetiver. So from the year one, the temperature comes down by 2 degrees. There is no tilling, there is no poison, no chemical fertilizer, no pesticide, herbicide. Fantastic thing which the current government has done is they have finally banned another 27 agrochemicals which were just not needed. So it's incredible. What kind of a science is this that we are, in the name of science, we are eating poison. And so every banana, every papaya, every mango that we eat is grown with pesticide and ripened with carbide. How would we save our lives? And the right hand is making the cancer medicines. We are not willing to see the obvious. So this is now we have started the vine on the trees. We can see pan. Our tradition was fantastic. This is again a very medicinal thing. So the moment this is a very heavy torrential rains. This is in Bihar, which has we can see some of the Ola Vrishti also a part of that. Right after one day, with some bit of sunlight, everything is observed. All water is put inside the soil. Only a forest can do it. So a food forest happens. I have very two little points which I wanted to add. One is, Bangalore is known to be the city of intellectuals. People
So
are evolved
could
here.
you be a little louder? I can't hear
Yeah.
you very clearly.
Okay, Bangalore is known to be and rated as the city of intellectuals and people with golden heart
Absolutely.
as a city. So it is this obvious. If consumers decide that, and people, and honest people like you, person of integrity, they become a middleman, or any honest corporate,
Right.
with right value system. So there is money to be made, but the middleman can be an honest man. And if with the help of technology, we can put these cameras that here is a farm which is, grandfather of organic. I'll come to 2, 3 slides. I'll show how
Yeah.
people of incurable diseases have been cured with the help of the produce from there. We do that and we take no money from anyone who's suffering in life. So, if consumers decide to start, buying produce from here, of anything, some turmeric, be it honey. I mean, this is again a place where, as trees and bees, so an apiary can be started. Again, today among the listeners are some super specialists in apiary. I'm proud to know them. So, India can dominate in that world also. Moringa honey and whole host of. So suddenly your productivity goes up 300 to 400%. Monte Calualia used to say that if your agriculture can grow by 0.3%, you could be achieving 7% of GDP year after year. I say your agricultural productivity can go up by 100%. And the biggest proof of pudding is we have such farms already, and we have now in this group very determined to take it forward and make 500 such farms. So some very evolved people are here who are committed to this cause, and they are going to take it. And the best part is, again, as I say, the world is gone bad because of the greed. We don't want anything. Whatever we learned is
Um,
gratis.
there,
Run with it.
there is a question from one of the participants. They want to know, is there any beehive in your farm?
Plenty. See, we have two farms of our own. In Madhya Pradesh, it's a spiritual farming, so we don't do the apiary. I'm looking for, there is one Guru Prasad here only, probably he's participating. So he's promised that he'll do this with the Indian bees. We have plenty of beehives. There is a time when, the bees don't get food. We have one pink pepper, which flowers twice in food deficit times. We get something like 30 to 40 beehives. All the bees come to our farm because everybody is putting pesticide. And for it is a dharma not to do any poison, not needed. You create the biodiversity. You don't need anything. No gomutra, no chemical, no organic pesticide. In jungle, who goes and gives this? None. So here is a farm right after one torrential rains and everything, which they have absorbed everything. And you can see on the right hand side, we have moringa, which goes up, then the bay leaf just below, bananas below, turmeric inside. And now we have started putting the vine. 5, 6 layers in no time. And then the apiary, sixth layer. Why should India remain poor? And when it is supported by evolved consumers, that is one, it will flourish. Number one. Number two is, I still believe that there is a limit to what, the Indian farmer's biggest tragedy is that when they produce something in abundance, which rarely happens with the weather changing this thing, he never gets any price because the prices crash. That is the tragedy which the Indian farmers have. If you put a lot of input costs, in terms of expensive seed.
Mr. Jha, since we decided to keep this a little interactive, I have to interrupt you here because
Sure.
there's a question, with
Yeah.
the same question. The follow-up is that,
Yeah.
the follow-up is that whether it is apiary or wild bee. So,
No, in Bihar we have apiary because my brother-in-law is involved. I mean, and I have nothing against that. We produce 30,000 kg of honey, Gayatri. on
Okay.
that 45 acres of farm, but that is through the apiary, and that has Italian bees.
And there is another question from Mr. Venki that is about link between agri farming and afforestation.
Yeah, link between agri farming
and afforestation.
Yeah, this is basically, the moment you grow the trees in such close distance at different heights, it acquires a character of a forest where the temperatures crash, where microclimatic conditions happen, where carbon sequestration happens, where underground water is recharged, where it helps you in curing, where it prevents you from getting cancer, where it supports your river system, where it invites more rains, where it provides employment. Now we have yet to talk about CBG, compressed biogas. What I was saying, that when the farmers produce too much in quantity, the prices crash. The only answer, this current government has done a fantastic thing by, two things. Two things is one is 20% of ethanol mix in the petrol that will allow the urban people to breathe better, and the CBG, compressed biogas. They propose to have 50,000 of such plants all across the country. Now here is a chance where no matter how much you produce, there is a buyer who would buy it at a fixed price, say 1.5 rupee a kg. And in turn, they would produce clean fuel. And the resultant, this thing is the biofertilizer, which is without poison. So the biomass in this kind of a scenario, in a forest condition, has a potential to give you 40,000 rupees, 50,000 rupees out of the remaining biomass, and which you again get back as a biofertilizer. So it's a win-win situation where the farmer's income can quadruple. And this combined with people, entrepreneur like you or any responsible corporate, where people start buying these things, these honey, these turmeric, these at fair price. So it's a natural produce which the world has not known. Permaculture, it is entirely different from permaculture. Permaculture still has some design. Our ancient
Dr. Huda is asking what kind of support system is available from government to pursue this agriculture?
Not needed, although there is some subsidy which is involved. But I'm saying anything which is so productive, which is minimum 4%. You see, there is no cost involved in the first place. No chemical fertilizer, none of these poison, pesticide, herbicide, fungicide, no seeds. Bring life back to soil, Gayatri. Otherwise, we are finished. No agrarian civilization can last if it destroys its soil. We have destroyed already to a large extent. Nature is forgiving. Now is the time to act. A fool like me we can raise such forests. Anyone else can. So these are the real pictures of forests, which is bountiful. And the moment
so if we are done with showing pictures, can we come back
switch
to
it
the
off? Just a minute. I'll
yeah.
Let me see if you. This is what I was saying. Just a very quick this thing of pink pepper flowers twice, very good for the bees. So our farming is basically treason. Yeah, pink pepper. They have in that food hall, you get it for 40,000 rupees. The day I get 2,000 rupees, I'll resign from the job. Yeah, this is a neem giloy. I just wanted to talk 2 minutes in this COVID times. This is a neem tree, and you can see right till the top, this vine is covered. So there was a JNU professor. There is a JNU professor. He's read Charak in original, in Economist. So he told us way back, one of my batchmates is in police, and he was close to him, that if you eat this, you would not get malaria. Or even if you have dengue, malaria, whatever used to happen during those days, you get cured. Then and when we became a farmer, then we realized that the Tamil call it Amrita. So it is the best immuno booster that you have to prevent from cancer, in these COVID times, for improving your immune system. Instead of eating those tablets, for God's sake, the raw thing is by far the best. Buy it from the farmers and give them, the money goes directly to them. These tablets have not any match to the raw stuff. And the one on the neem and on bale tree is brilliant for your immune system. We can fight COVID very easily with simple things like these: the raw honey, this turmeric, raw turmeric with pepper, all that. So amazing. I mean, so when the consumers decide to support such systems, which people, it's the responsibility of yours and the likes of yours, your organization to take it to the this thing that here are a set of honest farmers who are working for Mother Nature. At the same time, they're not doing anyone any favor. I mean, it's bountiful. So, start buying produce from there, and something which, no matter how much the farmers grow, the prices don't crash. In that category will come the CBG, which the current government has already taken all the right policy initiatives. It can quadruple the farmer's income, and then everything follows. All the virtuous cycle follows. So this is about the monetary side of it, and our papayas sell much better. And no farmers get 40 rupee a kilo. We get that. Obviously, I mean, the people believe in you, so they are willing to pay a price, and the middlemen are less, and consumers get the best of price.
Do we have any more pictures to show here? Or we can switch to the regular mode?
Okay, no, we can close it. So this was important. Yeah.
Okay, great. So there's one more question in the meantime that I can just share with you. Some Miss Chatura Vishwanath, she wants to know, I want to create a forest, but I don't own any land. Is there any help from the government in terms of loans or schemes?
To the best of my knowledge, no. No bank gives you although it's a very valid point. We should take it up. That why should, for purchasing of land, why should bank not give loan? Especially, perhaps we can make this category. I want to raise a food forest, so I should be given loan on priority even for purchasing of agricultural land. A very good question. Currently, no, but it can be definitely taken up. If through your good offices, it can go as a suggestion.
So I'll just request you to stop showing your screen so that we can resume to the normal screen.
Sure, please do that. You can switch it off from your end.
No, first I'll have to be the host. First you stop sharing your screen and then I'll become.
Kushbu.
Okay.
I'm technology blind.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, just a minute. Let me check. Yeah, perhaps this. Yeah, I can close it. Oh.
Actually, there is another question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About the bale on the neem tree.
Yeah. Yes.
So what was the name of that
Guduchi.
creeper?
Guduchi is the Sanskrit name. In Bangalore, they call it Amritavalli. I cannot pronounce the L correctly. The one on the neem is the most beneficial, and one on the bale.
What is the English name for that? Because we have participants from overseas as well.
Tinospora cardifolia is the botanical name. It is easily the best immuno booster which the mankind has known.
Okay.
And very easily available in India. That's why we are very, very privileged. I mean, the British came and destroyed our self-confidence, for nothing, all in the name of science.
Okay.
In fact, if you allow me, and after that, we can, I can close this thing.
While I request you to, resume the screen from your side, but since it's taking time, we'll get to another question to Mr. Mr. Chaturvedi. Yeah. So we will get back to you on this question, that how do we ensure that the river systems and the lake systems are rejuvenated? Because you have worked sufficiently well on the most important river of our subcontinent, that is River Ganga. So would you like to share some examples on how that was done and what kind of vision that program had, Operation Ganga?
Yes, Gayatri, I will. And just before that, I saw a question about the name of that bale. So the common name also is Galoi.
Yeah, name Galoi.
Okay.
Yeah. So all this I'm sharing, which which I've got through Mr. Patanjali. Very two, three quick points regarding this food forest, which he has explained very well. It is that vertical. The concept is to get the sunlight, uh,
Absolutely.
more sunlight on the same patch of land, and you'd be aware that the best growth is in an area which is warm and humid. So what happens is that because of this close dense growth, that humidity comes by itself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So this needs to be understood.
Yes.
The third point which I want to make is that there are reduced inputs, in terms of manpower, in terms of the money spent on watering, and money spent on manuring. He can actually take a class for 360 days on this. Basically, the bees come of their own, the birds come of their own. There is pollination going on. So there is an ecosystem which is created in this food forest, and if this will differ from place to place, from region to region. In a uh, east of a country, there will be different species. In the north, there will be different. In Marathwada, we will have different. But this concept, the principle remains the same. That you start growing tubers down below,
Yes.
and then you have one on the ground, like shrubs, and then the middle height trees, and then the real height trees, and get all of them together.
Just 1 second. There is a technical glitch because Mr. Jha, you have to make me the host again to resume the control.
Hey, Puchko, 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 please come. Okay, share screen. I'll close. Then perhaps.
Right now, actually, since I made you the host to share the
Okay.
screen, I'll.
Puchko, please come. Share the host back to her.
You have to stop sharing. So it's done,
Stop
right?
sharing. I'm done.
Just make me the host
Oh, you want
back
to make-
again.
Yeah, he will do that.
All right. You should be back. All set?
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I was saying was that it can be done in a scientific manner. You can choose what you want to plant, how you want to plant. The advantages are that you can grow more in the same area and less, efforts, both in terms of physical labor as also of money inputs. So at the end of it, and you have a veritable ecosystem. It doesn't stop at just growing, moringa or growing bananas or growing papayas. It adds. You have got these birds, you got these bees, you got the temperatures down, and you're doing carbon sinking also.
Big way.
Absolutely.
The
That's the
water-
most sensible way to do the things,
Yes.
actually.
Yeah, and don't require water.
Yes.
You know,
Much less.
right?
Much less.
The water
Yes.
initially you require, and thereafter it caters for the water itself, because it soaks up all the water which falls from the sky. Okay, so this much I wanted to tell.
No, and please add your experience of what you did in Allahabad and few other places with the same
Yes,
forest.
Operation Ganga. We are.
They also
Yeah,
the food
yeah.
forest.
So I was going to talk to about the Ganga. So before I start with that, in Allahabad itself, again pure initiative. This came to me from my deputy here in Delhi itself. He said that there is a very old dairy, which is lying in a state of disuse, but it is in a huge area, and it was set up in the British times, and we can just get it done. So the officer there spoke to the district authorities, and also they were not very forthcoming. So I said, let's take it over from there. So we found out that actually it came under the army itself, under the QMG's branch. So we got in touch with them, and we said, you kind of lease it to us. We just go there. I mean, we just hold it for you. They did that, and in a year, I think it's about 200 acres of plot. We have Colonel Amit Pandey there, who's done a fantastic job. Who's got these 3 to 4 layers going. It's a as a food forest to be seen, to be believed.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So and then something similar has been created in Assam, which again I had the privilege of seeing myself. Except for because of the our inborn training, they had cleaned up the undergrowth. So I told them that keep the undergrowth going. Don't get upset with the undergrowth. In fact, I'll share another anecdote with you. While in Delhi, we had a small patch of land between us and the main road. So I just took a lot of seed balls and threw them there during the rainy season. And believe me, in 1 year's time, they had crossed my height. They had, about 8 feet tall trees had come up. I mean, of course, their trunks were not very thick. And one fine day when I came back from office, I saw that, most of them have been cleaned up. So I just inquired and I was told, it was looking very bad. It was all very thick with undergrowth. And also they cleared up the whole area. So that was on just the lighter side. I'll get to the Ganga. Initially, the TA had given a normal TA battalion to the Ganga Task Force as the NMCG. But we realized that they were not trained for this job. So I firmly believe that we need to skill ourselves to perform any job, and we are then able to do it well to the 100% requirement is met then. So we put in a proposal that we should raise an eco task force for cleaning up the Ganga. Just a little bit of anecdotal history. I met the then MOS who was looking after NMCG, and he to my face said, "No, we'll not do it." I said, "Fine, you don't know." I went on to tell him that, look, you get this thing going, and within 1 year you're going to ask me for raising 3 more such task forces. He said, sorry, I said, do I take it that we are not going ahead with this proposal? He said, yeah, you please, wait to hear from us. We do no further movement on this. I said, fine. And then, the government changed. The same party came into power, but there was the different setup there. And then, we got it going again. And the then Defense Secretary was also a big head. And finally, we were able to get this proposal through. And then we realized that, most of the affluents were coming from the nalas. So within a year of its raising, or it is not even a year now, they were able to map all the nalas which are falling into the Ganga at Banaras, Allahabad, and Kanpur. That is where the 3 companies are. And they also started cleaning up the lake at Allahabad, and through phytoremediation and bioremediation, they started cleaning up the nala. They made floating beds with the canna. There's a local variety of flowers. You must have seen around the ponds, etc. These they don't have a good no fragrance, but they look very nice, and and they have strong roots. So they act as cleansers, and so do the vegetables. So they got these floating beds made with local material, and through phytoremediation, and again, they've been able to clean up the nalas into from near stagnant water bodies to pure, clean, pure water flowing into the Ganga. And with that, they've been able to also address stabilization of the banks of the Ganga. They've been able to also look after the hotspots where the aquamarine life is there, the the Gangetic dolphins that they've been able to restore, and of course they've been able to grow these this food forest, and also they've addressed the city forest in small patches because Uttar Pradesh does not afford much of land which can be afforested. So then we got on to these small patches, and they've started growing the city forest there. I must, but also add here that a lot needs to, the credit needs to go to Colonel Pandey and his team, who have really worked extremely hard, extremely focused, and extremely intelligently. They've also gone in for checking the water pollution levels, working with the Central Pollution Control Board, the State Pollution Control Board. The Jal Shakti Minister has told them that yes, we'll put you on to check these the sewage treatment plants also. I mean, they're doing a fantastic job. And now the Jal Shakti Ministry wants us to raise, four more such battalions. The funding is the only constraint. This about the Ganga. And what I want to add here is, and I hope the people listening who can help out in this, 8 out of our first 10 major rivers in India are rain-fed rivers. We take our minds to just Ganga and Yamuna, and but if you see, there are 8 rivers which are rain-fed. Meaning thereby that if we have enough forest around the river basin, these trees will, the roots will take in water. The water tables will rise. The pollution levels of water will reduce. The topsoil erosion will end. There will be plenty of water in the country. Most of our cities, and it was confirmed by Mr. Jha in the slide, are having water problems. I mean, we are a 6th largest economy in the world, going to be 5th largest, and in the capital city of Delhi, there is a area called Dwarka where water tanks apply to supply drinking water. I mean, it is there in a lot of our cities. I, as you were saying, what Mr. Jha was quoting, that we can't see what is there in front of us. It is such a simple plan. It is such, Jagat Guru, the Sadguru, is, going around, he's done a,
Rally for rivers.
yeah, and
he came to our farm. He tweeted that this is the ideal farm.
If we just decide, and we have ancient knowledge, we
Yes.
don't cut people tree. Why we don't cut people tree? Because it provides oxygen during night also. So we should realize that we need these trees, and it is simple. It is not rocket science, which would require complex equations to be resolved. So you just have these eco task forces raised, and they will plant trees in these areas. There's a place area called Amal Kantak in Madhya Pradesh, where the two major rivers emanate from. That is the Son River and which is the other one, Mr.
Narmada ji, most mighty.
Narmada ji comes from there.
Yeah.
And again, this I came to know Mr. Jha, that that area is deforested. The tributaries are all drying up.
Yes.
And we don't see I mean, what I want to convey is that any government of the day decides to take this up, it will be a huge political victory also for them. In a democracy, everything is political in the end.
Yes.
So they would benefit,
Immensely.
not politically also.
Yes.
I really can't see, I really can't understand as to why can't they see this,
Yes.
and why can't we go ahead?
So right.
You are aware, and you will talk of this Prakriti model. I want to say that we have the interactions with the government. I've realized that they take a lot of time, and money is a major issue. They are cash strapped like all of us. I mean, not all of us. I'm saying government is cash strapped, and they all, they say it's a good idea, but it all stops at the funding part. I mean, you will explain this better at the end. But then, we can do it through private participation also, through CSR. And, government has just released those additional, I think, 6,000 crores of Campa funds. Basically a forestation fund. So this can be utilized very well by them. and we will give all the kudos to the State Forest Department, to the Jal Shakti Ministry. It is just that it is waiting to happen.
Yeah. So while you were discussing, in the meantime, there was a comment by Ms. Preeti Rao. She was saying that perhaps army should take over the rejuvenation of lakes also, because they are really in bad shape. So just for her information and also for all the other participants, we would like to share that we have come up with a proposal called Prakriti. And the way smart cities is one proposal which is actually now working and maybe in the process at least. So we have proposed that we should be talking about a Prakriti model for our cities. So we are talking about Prakriti cities. And this is a model where we are getting the three stakeholders together. That is the state government, the corporates, and the central government will be steering the whole thing. And the communities get involved in whatever capacity they can. So here we are trying to say that, see, as Mr. Chaturvedi just mentioned, that there is always a situation where governments are cash trapped, and there is somebody they require some sort of hand holding, not in just in terms of cash, but also in terms of steering the projects. So we in this Prakriti model we have designated specific roles to separate entities. So corporates come in with their CSR funds, so they can contribute. Because, for instance, if I am a corporate which is based in Bangalore, so of course how the Bangalore lakes are faring and how the air quality in Bangalore is faring, that is going to affect my own business. So that kind of intuition needs to be there in the corporate houses, and we have to evoke that if it is not existing. So, and government at the central level has to understand that why this is important and why they should be, giving a green go ahead for this entire initiative, because it is supposed to look credible. And we have territorial army, which is the most important part of these three units, as I mentioned. One is state government, one is the corporates, and third is the territorial army. And since they are so organized, and I'm sure that nobody can refute this thing, that nobody is as organized and well disciplined when it comes to executing projects. So when territorial army is allowed to set up ETFs in every single city, and it is anchored by the state government, the land is provided, and the corporates also pitch in with their funding. I mean, there is nothing to stop us. Actually, then every city will be having all it needs in order to have beautiful lakes, in order to have, lot of city forests, as Mr. Jha would call it, because we need to make it possible to, create these breathing zones within the city, which is otherwise really sinking because of carbon. So I'm not talking about carbon sink. I'm talking about cities being sinking because of carbon. So we have to, I mean, just counter all these things. So Prakriti is a model which is trying to, work on all of these solutions together with a very collaborative approach, I would say. So with that, I would just like to leave the room. You have any comments to make?
Just one
Sure.
small one.
Yeah.
And absolutely brilliant vision. And the rivers and the ponds, hitherto, if it has not been handled well, it's time to hand it over to what Mrs. Preeti Rao suggested, to an organization like the Eco Task Force with the Prakriti model which you are talking about. One simple thing which I would like to add, like if Google can give organic food to its employees in the US, perhaps they can also be given this option that they can have natural food, something superior. Here, so just imagine 1 lakh consumers or the number of employees that they have, or few of these corporate, it's a win-win situation where they get to eat clean at affordable prices, and the farmers, both in the urban space as well as in the outside the urban area, everything is integrated. Unless those rivers exist, I was speaking to some important political functionary here. And he's a very evolved man, educated man, doctor, doctorate and everything. So they would say that they would get the water from the river system. When the river dies, then what happens? From where would you get your water? So you need this to act simultaneously. There is a concept of bioenzyme. There is a concept of this what Jinu Chaturvedi talked of, simple solutions of canas, of vetivers, and seed balls, which costs nothing, effectively nothing. And some dedication, some public participation, corporate understanding that they need to have a better air quality to breathe, better pond system, better lakes. Uh, Things can change in no time. It doesn't take more than 1 to 2 years with in capable hands like the Eco Task Force.
Great. So I would like to leave the room open for now questions.